So my poem is Birth of a Nation on July 1st, 1867 by James McIntyre. James McIntyre was born in Forres, Scotland in 1828 and later immigrated to Upper Canada, which is now known today as Ontario. He did not have much for money when he moved to Canada, so he began his work as a hired farmhand. Many of his works of literature were based off the pioneer chores that he performed while working. After he was done being a hired farmhand, he settled in St. Catharines, Upper Canada, where he began to sell furniture. He would marry here and have a daughter named Kate McIntyre Rutan and a son named John William McIntyre, and with Euphoria Fraser. He would then be married 2 more times, once to an Anne Williams and once to a Belinda Walker, who brought 2 sons with her to the marriage. He would later move to Ingersoll, Upper Canada, or Canada West, depending on the time of when he moved. This was a town of 5,000 people on the bank of the Thames in Oxford County. This was the heart of dairy country at the time. He opened a furniture factory on the river along with a store where he sold furniture. And this store had items, not just furniture, but also things like pianos and coffins. The town loved him so much that they would help him in times of financial need and would get him to speak at every type of social gathering in Ingersoll. Majority of his poems were written in celebration of the proud history of Canada, the natural beauty and industry of the region, and especially its cheese. An annual poetry contest is held in Ingersoll, Ontario to honor McIntyre. The contest is sponsored by the Ingersoll Times and the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll and includes a cheese-themed poetry competition. His work was forgotten about after his passing, but was brought back by William Arthur Deacon, a literary editor of the Toronto Mail and Empire, and its successor, the Global and Mail. James McIntyre had 2 volumes of poetry published, one in 1884, which was musing on the Canadian Thames, and the second in 1889, which was Poems of James McIntyre. His work of poetry included American poets Longfellow, Dairy Ode, English poets Shelley, Ensilage, Father Rainey the Cheese Pioneer, Fertile Lands and Mammoth Cheese, Hints to Cheesemakers, Irish poets Oliver Goldsmith, Lines Read at Dairymaids Social 1887, and Lines Read at Dairyman's Supper, Miss Moody, Nova Scotia, Ode on the Mammoth Cheese, Oxford Cheese Ode, Prologue, Prophecy of a 10-ton cheese, and Windmill and Stone Slabs, as well as Birth of Canada as a Nation, July 1st, 1867. James McIntyre would die on March 31st, 1906 in Upper Canada. We will now begin the poem. Hail, Britonia's noblest daughter, who is surrounded by the water of many a lake and a broad sea, land of a beaver and of maple tree. Her lofty brow is wreathed with smiles from the far Atlantic isles. Impromptu come their delegates, all seeking to unite their fates with Canada, great northern queen. And now through the land is seen high festival and stately dance, triumphant nuptials to advance. And soon shall Red River Valley and distant Vancouver rally to form this empire gigantic from Pacific to Atlantic. This poem was all about different things that help make Canada and how it is the best country that Britain has control of. As it refers to in the first line, Hail Britannia's noblest daughter. The second stanza talks about how all these different people have come to Canada and are here to unite as one. The third stanza talks about how Canada can celebrate coming together to form a nation. And the final stanza talks about how Canada has different landscapes and we will come together to form this empire and unite from the west coast to the east coast and everything in between. The message of this poem is that it celebrates the Confederation of Canada, portraying it as a moment of national pride, unity, and hope for the future. The deeper meaning of the poem or of a centralized message of the poem is that the unification of the provinces into one dominion marked the beginning of a strong, prosperous, and peaceful nation. The Birth of Canada as a Nation, July 1st, 1867, by James McIntyre, appears to have a theme of unity and patriotism, as it talks a lot about coming together to unite as one. As I will read an example from the poem, from the far Atlantic Isles in prompt have come their delegates, all seeking to unite their fates. And when reading this, it kind of like shows that people have come all over to create this beautiful nation. And it also gives me like this feeling that the poet is proud because his first line says, "Hail Britannia's noblest daughter." This poem is an amazing work of literature as it can bring the reader that sense of being proud to be from Canada. The first stanza draws the reader in and makes the reader proud knowing that they are living in Britain's greatest dominion. I also like how it talks about how we can come together to unite and celebrate from coast to coast, and how all these different landmarks are now in one country and we can enjoy being one big empire or country. The poem also seems to really want the reader to buy in on Canada uniting and how it should be celebrated.